The 90s. The era of disco biscuits, Kappa tracksuits, and happy hardcore music. What a load of shit! The decade of my first kiss, my first grope, and my first... The decade of Tony Blair coming to power and sending us all on a downward spiral to certain doom. But in the midst of this, something strange was happening in the land of movies. What started as a promising decade for us horror movie fans quickly escalated like a white man in flip-flops quoting pages of the Bible at a pro-transgender rally. Sure, the 90s started off with the masterpiece that was Silence of the Lambs. Perfectly shot and perfectly acted, in a morbid world of brutality, art and classical music. A world where Hannibal Lecter taught us that you could nosh out on human flesh and fava beans and wash it down with a nice glass of Chianti. This was followed by the adaptation of Stephen King's Misery, where Kathy Bates goes batshit crazy on Mr. Man, getting sporty with a sledgehammer and turning James Caan into a fucking paraplegic. Then came Mr. Clive Barker with a dark and brutal urban tale in the form of Candyman. A clever twist on social difference and folklore that still holds relevant even to this day. Yes, we were gearing up for a great decade in horror. But then we went a bit gothic with Bram Stoker's Dracula, Interview with the Vampire and Sleepy Hollow. Then some poorly CGI'd comedy horrors like Vampire in Brooklyn and The Frighteners. Now, the problem with movies that claim to be comedy is, well, they should be funny. Then in 1996, the unthinkable happened. Scream was born. Wes Craven introduced us all to a new form of horror, with an unhinged, overprivileged kid stabbing and killing another bunch of overprivileged kids, thus spawning crap rip-off after crap rip-off of an already crap film. I Know What You Did Last Summer, The Faculty, and Urban Legend, to name but a few. But as the decade was bowing out, there was a glimmer of hope and uncertain excitement. In 1999, a harrowing and unrelenting promise of some missing kids' VHS tape from their camcorder had been recovered and was going to be shown. In cinemas. What? This is, of course, the Blair Witch Project, a film that cost about 20 squid to make, and with some clever marketing, had duped the world into thinking they are watching some fucking snuff movie of a bunch of kids being wiped out in a forest. A profitable, effective, subtle, yet unnerving tale that inspired zero-budget filmmakers across the globe to jump on the bandwagon. The time of the found footage subgenre was born. A refreshing arrival, with its authenticity and resilience in a world of big budget and special effects. This has become the go-to style of movie making for a lot of low-budget independent filmmakers, and can prove you don't need a massive budget and a star-studded cast to make a scary movie. Because we all know what that can end up like. Yeah, right, fuck off, Neeson. No. In fact, all you need is a good, spooky story, some clever camera angles, and some effective jump scares to make an effective, low-budget horror movie. Being the go-to subgenre, of course, you have to wade through a lot of shit to find the hidden gems. Well, as usual, your boy Ricky has cut out the middleman, strapped on my waders like a Scunthorpe storage worker, and took massive strides through the congealed fecal matter and used condoms to bring you 5 lesser-known found-footage horror that really hit the spot. Number 5, Apartment 143. A 2011 movie about a parapsychologist team asked to investigate the White's family apartment. Mr. White and his 2 kids had lost their wife/mother in a car crash and had been experiencing strange happenings ever since. They moved to a new gaff, Apartment 143, and the strange happenings continued. It's a predictable romp with some genuinely effective jump scares. Even when you know they're coming, they still manage to make your heart stop. The acting standards from the cast were surprisingly good for a low-budget flick, and you really feel the cast. Especially Mr. White, who's lost his wife and is still grieving, whilst trying not to throttle his rebellious teenage daughter to fucking death. A nice part of the film is that it goes against the grain, as the parapsychologists are hell-bent on finding scientific explanation for the occurrences as opposed to the paranormal. This is a neat, effective little movie that's definitely worth checking out. The team did a great job with the little budget they had.
Number 4, The Realm.
In this film, a group of friends decide to record their evening of fun fiddling with a fucking Ouija board. This is an attempt to make a viral video that will bring them fame and fortune, and they'll all mersey off into the sunset and live happily ever after. But after a bit of a ruck around said board, they forget to follow the rules and they don't say goodbye to the spirits, thus leading to paranormal mayhem, a psychotic spirit who's partial to cutting off fucking heads, and a surprise twist that'll keep you glued to your seat like a followed through fart at a dinner party on someone's finest white seat cushion. The film is well paced, pretty well acted, and at times downright bloody scary. It offers a couple of side stories, which whilst highly ludicrous, are a welcome comedic relief to the uncertain dread that awaits. The film was made in 2011 and was called the Ouija Experiment in the United States and The Realm in the UK. Some of the scares genuinely got under my skin, like the part where one of the characters was being chased through their gaff by a female spirit who seemed to have been on an all-day speed sesh. The film isn't without its flaws, but that's what adds to the charm with this genre. It's stockpiled footage from several days or even weeks squeezed into 90 minutes of runtime. All in all, it's a fun underrated movie that will have you checking under your bed after watching.
Number 3, The Devil's Doorway.
This Irish found footage horror is about as convincing as a Scouser with high moral standards, but goddamn, it's a whole lot of fun. The year is 1960. Two fathers have been dispatched by the Vatican to the Magdalene Laundry to investigate a possible miracle. Yeah, apparently one of the statues of the Virgin Mary has been bleeding from her eyes. It's packed full of cliches and predictability, but the acting, set pieces and use of 16mm camera and shot in a 4:3 aspect ratio adds to the authenticity of this period romp. The main thing I took away from this movie is that there are two types of evil at work here, the supernatural and the treatment of the women in the laundry by the nuns, spearheaded by a mother superior with fists the size of dinner plates and an angered temperament of a Glaswegian pisshead being bunged out of a pub on a Sunday lunchtime. The movie pulls no punches, and why the fuck should it? It gives you more to think about than just the evil of the dead, but more so the unflinching evil of the living.
Number 2, The Borderlands.
Now, once in a while, a movie comes along and takes me completely by surprise. Kinda like taking off a Thai girl's underwear. And The Borderlands is definitely one of these films. This 2013 slow burner really did hit the spot for me. Two Vatican investigators and a tech wizard atheist are sent to a church in the British West Country after a priest reports paranormal activity taking place at a christening there. The film contains some of the creepiest church scenes in cinema history and some shocking moments where sheep were being fucking burned alive. The interesting part in all of this for me was that the two believers in the man upstairs, well, they didn't believe anything was happening, yet the man with no faith, he believed there was. An interesting and forthright concept which left me on the bench wondering which side I should be rooting for. The highlight of this movie for me was the banter between the three main characters. It was believable and at times very heartfelt. The slow burn of the first half of the movie gave us time to reflect on the past memories of the cast while still treading the planks to the uncertain menace that lurks ahead. The acting is 100% believable, and the use of the headcams by the main stars is a blast, especially when one of them joked they weren't going to wear it whilst going to the toilet. I'd personally love to take a big long shit and zoom in on the fucker for giggles, but that's perhaps the bordering alcoholic and insane humour that lurks within a select few like myself. All in all, The Borderlands is a well-crafted, well-acted and damn near perfectly executed movie that explores a mixture of emotions from the terror of events within a picturesque British village.
Number 1, The House on Mansfield Street.
Okay, The House on Mansfield Street is a 2018 flick. It's made by Mansfield Dark Productions and follows Nick, a documentarian who, after getting a new job, moves from the big smoke to Nottingham. Kinda like me. Haha. Anyway, we see him move into a tiny one-up, two-down terraced house, which, let's face it, it's not your usual gaff for this type of movie, but it sets the tone nicely. He meets his new neighbour, Emma, who gives him a very strange patchwork thingamajig and tells him it will protect him.
But from what?
This leads to a lot of things that go bump in the night. Some awesome use of motion camera, a GoPro, and even a mobile fucking phone. There's some seriously creepy moments that make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up on end. The plot is thin, which is reminiscent to the horror movies of yesteryear, which always works in my opinion. And it's a breath of fresh air in a cluttered, watered-down society where playing it safe seems to be frowned upon. When you consider the apparent £300 budget, this film really pulls out all the stops to deliver the frights. The film breaks no boundaries, and why the fuck should it? It's well-paced, well-acted, found-footage movie that's as simple to follow as an episode of Postman Pat, and that is why I love it. It's unapologetic in a world where filmmakers try to add plot twists and ramming a diverse lifestyle message down your throat like fucking tripe. It's refreshingly welcome to just see a film for what it is. A spooky tale filmed on a shoestring budget with some nifty recording angles, which can lead to, well, what at times is a truly unsettling experience. Richard and Daniel Mansfield have proved to us all what you can do with a tiny bit of money and a massive amount of imagination. That's it from me for now, old AF gang. Stay lit, stay beautiful, stay safe, but most importantly, stay smiling!